President Biden proving once again he's got no clue when it comes to the pandemic. Some of his top former medical advisors are trying to get his attention, saying the president's COVID strategy needs a major overhaul and want Biden to tell Americans they need to learn to live with it. Good luck with that. The commander-in-chief contradicting himself in the same sentence while talking about his COVID plan and what Americans can expect.
Mr. President, should Americans prepare to live with COVID forever?
7.1%.
Mr. President, should Americans prepare to live?
That COVID is here to stay?
No, I don't think COVID is here to stay. That having COVID in the environment here and in the world is probably here to stay. But COVID, as we're dealing with it now, is not here to stay. The new normal doesn't have to be. We have so many more tools. And so we're going to be able to control this. The new normal is not going to be what it is now. It's going to be better.
And if you thought Jimmy Carter was bad, Kamala Harris is trying to one-up him. The VP not inspiring any confidence with these comments about dealing with the virus.
And I understand and I fully appreciate there is a level of malaise. We're 2 years into this thing. You know, we want to get back to normal. We all do. But we have to then do the tough and hard work of pushing through with solutions, understanding that there are going to be challenges.
And Biden's sweeping vax mandates could be on the ropes. The Supreme Court hearing challenges to the mandates today and signaling they could strike them down. All right, let's just mention Greg brought, what are we calling this thing? America's Fish?
That's America's Fish.
America's Fish.
It's Abe Vigoda. Can we get a close-up of him? I called, Outnumbered has one lucky guy. This is one lucky Gil. And he's just dying to school Geraldo.
Oh.
Just hope he doesn't get hooked on the spotlight. Oh. But, I figured since I'm alone in the studio, I needed somebody to keep me company. And who could better than my little friend Abe? He's adorable. Look at those eyes. Sexy little fish. Anyway.
Watch yourself. We could have an HR complaint. All right, Greg, take it away.
Well, you know what? We're in desperate need for leadership and something that's called wisdom. And there's nothing that Joe Biden has said that provides any of that, which is weird because that's the benefits of age is wisdom. But instead, we're getting the consequences of age, which is a disjointed, convoluted, aimless asides about things. And I go back to that original thing that I said a long time ago. It's the people who are going to lead us out of this, not the leaders. And you talk to anybody, because of this bad messaging and the exhaustion and people with the boosters and the double boosters getting COVID, people have, it's almost miraculous. People are actually in unison having enough. They've had enough. They're looking at February 1st. They know that's when this is going to be over. It's almost like we are leading the country, not the leaders. The problem with Kamala Harris, though, she is the 9/11 of Pearl Harbors, right? She's on what scientists call Poop Island. It's a place that once you get on it, you can't get off. And everyone who's supposed to help you doesn't want to because they don't want any poop on them. So basically, they're just letting her suffer. And it's so unfair to Jimmy Carter because he never said malaise. The speech was a crisis in confidence, but he never said malaise, but it's called the malaise speech. But you get the sense that the Dems have given up on Kamala and Joe. It's like a dead marriage that it's kept alive until the kids are out of the house. And in this case, if the kid's out of the house is when the election comes up.
All right, so when Geraldo, Greg mentioned with age comes wisdom, so we'll go to you. But yeah. Kamala Harris.
I resemble those remarks.
Yes. Kamala Harris should know better, not because she's old, or because she was around in the 70s, because she's a politician. You don't say the word malaise. It triggers the Carter era. It makes people remember the era. It's not a great era. Why did she say that? And how could she say that?
I think that in terms of communication, she really is clueless. And I say that with all due respect, and I really always remind myself and everyone else that what a historic figure she is. But welcome back, Carter. It's to use that word invokes the era. Biden's COVID is Carter's hostage crisis. And this feeling, America has a simultaneous case of the blahs now. And it may be just the fact that, I got sick a couple of weeks ago and that that tinted or tinged my optimism that I usually have, kind of buoyant person naturally, but it's kind of snowing in Cleveland. You're kind of dragging your tail through life, wondering when this thing's finally going to end, and you can go to the airport when you want to, and give someone a high five when you want to. It's a lot. It's a lot. And the news is pretty mediocre, generally speaking, Jesse.
Dagan, it was a great analogy by Geraldo that COVID is Joe Biden's hostage crisis. Would you like to add anything to that? I think it sums it up pretty perfectly.
No, I would like to, I think I've kind of given up hope after I was listening or reading what the liberal Supreme Court justices said.
Oh, yeah.
And the misinformation that they were hacking up. How can you make good, sound policies and decisions when you're using the wrong, incorrect information? You cannot. Justice Sotomayor said 100,000 children are in serious condition, many on ventilators. Wrong. There are fewer children who have been hospitalized with COVID in the last year and a half. It's about 84,000. Another doozy. Omicron is as deadly as Delta. No, it's not. Not even for the unvaccinated, it's not. I called doctors about this. They said that is patently false. Marty McCary, the doctor, told me there are actually no confirmed deaths from Omicron, not even the original one in Houston. Justice Breyer, so you have a Supreme Court justice. Justice Breyer went on to say implied Omicron case numbers would start falling if the Biden vaccine mandate was in place. Well, that's balderdash. And then Elena Kagan was essentially talking about this policy, the vaccine mandate. We need this to stop the virus. We need to stop the spread with this vaccine mandate. Vaccinated people are catching it. Look at Geraldo and me and all of us, and spreading it. So I just want to point out, you have a Supreme Court justice, particularly Sotomayor, that was the most egregious today, on the most important issue facing this nation, and she has her facts not just wrong, but stunningly pick up my jaw off the floor wrong. So it's like she's getting her facts from CNN or even The View. Shoot, Joy Behar would have done a better job on the high court today.
Justice Behar. That is a shocking image. Martha, how stunning is it that you have Supreme Court justices, the president, the vice president, the CDC, not able to speak with any sort of precision about a virus that you'd think by this point we'd know a little something about?
Yeah, I think that Americans as a nation, we just have a certain level of expectation for how smart we're going to be about things and how well we're going to handle stuff. We expect that. I looked up the numbers today of how much we spend on HHS and combined with the NIAID, the National Allergy and Infectious Disease, and NIH, right? So you've got about $2 trillion and then another $50 billion, right? And then you have this letter that comes from these 6 very esteemed doctors. And one of the suggestions that they have is that the United States should have a modern data infrastructure to surveil the virus. Hello? I mean, wouldn't you have a natural expectation in the technologically advanced United States of America that we wouldn't have to call on Israel and the UK to figure out the data for how long the immune system is able to fight off these different viruses after the vaccines? Why? How could we possibly be spending over $2 trillion and employing thousands of people at these health agencies? What are they doing if they're not figuring out a modern data infrastructure to know more about the virus and feel smart about it? Instead, you have this sort of, I compare it to like the Peanuts teacher, womp, 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 right? Coming from the top levels of our government, talking about challenges that we'll face and tough things that will come and how we'll work through the problems. And you just say, no, I want actual results. I want, as an American citizen, to say, well, I know that there are monoclonal antibodies out there, and I know that there are treatments out there. So I would certainly expect that if someone needed them, they would be able to get their hands on them in the United States of America. So these are really specific things that I think Americans just have an expectation that we're going to handle well, and we haven't. So it doesn't matter how many times you're told, like, gee, we get it, there's a little bit of malaise and wah, wah, wah. We want more than that, and we should have more than that for the money that we spend.
Abe Vigoda, America's Fish, would do a better job
Hey,
running
can I
this
say
government.
something about Abe Vigoda?
Yes.
I
Please.
love that name.
All right, so I actually know why Greg named it Abe Vigoda, and I took a poll and nobody else knew, so I was kind of proud of myself. But I
know why.
I rode down in the elevator with Abe Vigoda.
Yes.
Abe Vigoda smells.
But did he
Smells.
was he polite to you? He didn't say anything to you in the elevator
I
like
don't know.
Geraldo does.
He was trying to look up my skirt.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I have pants on.
I think it's just because he has
Abe,
big eyes.
we're going to have to put him into sensitivity training. All right, that's next week.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.